Hi everyone! Welcome to today's live demo. My name is Beth and I am a senior account and marketing manager here at Octane AI. And I usually run these webinars once a month. And today I'm joined by a familiar face, Ariel, from our customer support team. He is here to show one of our newest features, which is called Variant Matrix. This is a feature that you can apply to multiple quizzes, and it allows you to really recommend the specific variant per customer. And we have a couple of different examples to walk through you today with how you can use this, how to set it up, what it looks like in the back end. There's a preview feature to test it, and then how to set it live on your quizzes. So I will go ahead and kick it over to Ariel, and so he can get started. One thing to note is we will have Q&A at the end, so feel free to ask any and all questions throughout the demo, and we will make sure to answer those questions at the end of the demo. Ariel will answer them live, or I will jump in, either one of us. Yeah, so bombard us with as many questions as you have, and go ahead, Ariel, take it over.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Beth. It's nice to have everyone here again. Thank you so much for joining. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, I think you guys can see my screen. All right, so the variant matrix. To get started, I just have a sample quiz here that I'm going to use to contextualize how the variant matrix works. So this quiz it just recommends one product at the end, but you can see that this product is not recommending any specific variants. We can see that we have many variants here. And what variant matrix does is that you can set up dimensions that will use the answers in your quiz to recommend the exact variant that the customer needs. And it's powerful because it's powered by AI. So you don't have to do everything by hand. You just set up the dimensions, the variants that need to be recommended when those dimensions are combined, and it'll automatically use the answers for you. Now, this may not make a lot of sense now, but once I show you how it works in practice, that it's pretty straightforward. So as I just told you, we have this quiz here. It uses a curated product block, but the variant matrix works with all different types of results, which I will also show you another example later. But let's go with the first one. So to access the variant matrix, you go here on the dashboard, then you click quizzes, and you go to variant matrix here. Now you can see that I already have some dimensions set up for our second example, but for this first example, let's do everything from scratch. So this is how this product is set up. You can see that we have dietary restrictions as variants, and we also have the flavor. So we can have combinations like vegan and chocolate flavor, or vegetarian and vanilla flavored, and so on. So we have to create a dimension for each one of these values. So let's go back to the variant matrix here, and let's create the first one, which will be dietary restriction. And let's go with vegetarian, vegan, and none. So we can see that we have our first dimension here. Now let's add the flavor dimension. Flavor, strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. All right, so now that we have created our two dimensions, so flavor and dietary restrictions, we need to map them to the products. And the cool thing about the variant matrix is that you map this one time and you can use it on all of your quizzes. So let's add the product here. These two products, I've already added them for the second example. Let's do the first one from scratch. So let's find our protein supplement here. We'll click it. And now we'll click it on configure to set up the matrix. So we'll add both the flavor and dietary restrictions dimensions. And you can see that it already formed a sort of map here. Now we just need to select the exact variant that needs to be recommended. So when the dimension strawberry meets the dimension vegetarian, that will be strawberry vegetarian. Now vegan strawberry, non-strawberry, vegetarian vanilla, vegan vanilla. This is why I set up the second example already, because otherwise I'd have to do this all over again and it would be a bit repetitive. So non-vanilla, vegetarian chocolate, vegan chocolate, and non-chocolate. So just a second review here. Everything looks good. Now that we set up the matrix, we're gonna add the quiz here. So add quiz, and find your perfect protein powder. Now we have these two options here for the display. When you select this option, all variants, this means that it'll show the parent product with the variant pre-selected, like in this example here. And when you use the single variant option, it's just gonna recommend the variant straight away as its own product. So if you want this to be really enforced, you can use the single variant option. For this example, let's use the all variants one. That's just going to pre-select the variant. So you can click on add quiz, and we can see here that our quiz is active and the variant matrix is also active for our second example. Now we do have a couple of ways to test this. We can use the preview and test. This just tests if the variant matrix is working in general. So for instance, if we go with dietary restrictions, vegetarian, flavor strawberry, we can see that it's working for the product. Now we can also test this in a quiz context. So let's go to test demo. Let's select our protein quiz, and we can now see all of the questions from our quiz. Primary fitness goal. This question is not being used by the variant matrix. So let's just go with anything. There is no dimension attached to this. Dietary preferences. Let's say I'm vegetarian and I really like chocolate. So once I submit this quiz, you can see that we got the exact variant as we mapped it out. So vegetarian and chocolate. Now let's see how this works in practice. I'm just going to refresh our quiz here in the builder, and then I'm going to preview the full quiz here. So let's go with something else now. Let's go with no dietary restrictions and vanilla. And you can see that we got the exact variant. We got none and vanilla, and it also recommended it as a drop-down. And one thing that you may have noticed is that even though the dimension is called none, the value for the dimension is called none, in our quiz, it's called no dietary restrictions. So the way that the variant matrix knows this is by using AI. So it automatically does this for you. Your answer does not need to exactly match the dimension. As long as the tone is similar, as long as it indicates that there's no dietary restrictions, it'll map the dimension to none. And to show that better, I have a second example here. This one, it asks if you need a foundation or an anti-acne gel. And you can see, for instance, that in this question, how bad is your acne? We don't have weak, medium, and strong. We just have different questions that are answers that are phrased in a different way. So if we go here on the variant matrix and we check the dimensions we have here for the second quiz, you can see that we have composition, either a low based or neutral. We have the potency, light, medium, and strong. And we have undertone and skin tone. And for the anti-acne gel example, we have these variants. So we have the composition, the potency, and that's it. But you can see here in the potency that we have light, medium, and strong. And for this quiz, it doesn't ask that. It just says something like a little bit. How bad is your acne? A little bit. It's average and it's bad. It doesn't use the exact words that we used in the dimensions. Now, from the get-go, variant matrix should work with this, but we are going to make this waterproof. So you click on the question here and you go to metadata, and you can see that we can enforce the dimension that will be used here. So if we want to be 100% safe that this 100% sure that this question will use the dimension that we want, we can use that in the metadata here. So let's choose the potency here, and this should cover it. And we can also choose it for the other questions. So for instance, this one, we click on the question here, we go to metadata, and this is the skin tone dimension. And as I mentioned, variant matrix, it's very powerful, so it should be able to deduce correctly. This is using the skin tone dimension, but if you want to be 100% sure, you can use the metadata option. So same thing for the undertone here, click the question, metadata, and undertone, and also for the composition here. So question, metadata, and composition. Let's save the quiz. Our variant matrix for it is already set up, so it should work straight away. And let's test it. So let's say I want to treat my acne, so I'm going to go with anti-acne gel. This is just going to recommend the anti-acne product. Let's go with aloe, and let's say that my acne is very bad, so I need the strongest gel in existence. And that we got the aloe-based and strong anti-acne gel, and you also see how this displayed the variant directly as its own product due to how we selected the second option when we set up the quiz. And another interesting thing here is that this works for all results types, as I mentioned. This one is using the dynamic recommendations. So it's just a simple match exclude system. If they select foundation, they get foundation. And if they select anti-acne gel, they get the anti-acne gel. But you don't have to specify the variant here. You can just set up the variant matrix, and you can see how we don't have anything else in the answers. And the variant matrix automatically maps the correct variant that the customer needs to get when they complete the quiz. So yeah, this is basically it. The variant matrix, as I mentioned, it can look intimidating when you first look at it in the dashboard, but it's actually pretty straightforward to set up. Now, let me check the Q&A. So the first one that we got here, what if my question doesn't have a title in the text because I used the HTML block for the title? Can I still link the question to the dimension that I want? And yeah, you can use the metadata here, just like we use. So if you go to the question here and you set up the metadata, this will automatically enforce the dimension that needs to be used. We could remove the internal name here, and we could also remove the question title here, and it would work the same way if you have an HTML block as the question title, for instance. All right, so I don't think we have any more questions. So this is basically it for the presentation, for the demo that I wanted to show you. I hope that it was helpful, and you can take over now, Beth. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Ariel, for sharing that. Yeah, this was a very quick demo. It's a very easy tool to use. It can, like Ariel said, it looks a little complex at first, but you can map out a lot of different dimensions. I know Ariel showed 2 dimensions for one of the examples, but you could have 3, you could have 4, you could have 5. It doesn't really matter. There's no limit on how many dimensions you need to recommend a specific variant. And like you said, you do this once for your specific product, and then you can add it to as many quizzes as you need. So it's like a one-time setup, easy to use, as opposed to setting up all the variants inside each quiz that you build moving forward. So yeah, we're so glad that you guys joined us today. I don't see any other questions, but if you do have any questions that pop up, feel free to always email me, beth@octaneai.com. Happy to answer them, and as well as you can use our support chat on the website. Ariel will probably be one of those answering those questions, so you'll get to chat with him. So yeah, any questions that come up, please let us know. We hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next month on our next live demo. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.